What is up, people? BP here, and today we are going to talk about the top 5 ways that you can improve as a godly man. So the first way you can improve as a godly man is to not worry. God tends to work things out according to Romans chapter 8, verse 28. It says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose." Essentially, the principle is this: if you love God, things will work out. And that's why I say, do not worry. To kind of give you an illustration, I'll tell you a little story. Back a few years ago when I had my own apartment, I had a 3-bedroom apartment, and I thought it would be so cool to live for free. So what did I do? I took my $1,000 rent and split it between 2 roommates so they would pay the rent in full, and I would live in the master bedroom for free. It worked out actually quite nicely, but we did kind of run into a few problems here and there. For example, my friend Kyle, or I should say my former friend Kyle, who was my roommate. So Kyle would live with us, and the other roommate was James. So Kyle would pay the $500, and James would pay the other $500, and boom, I lived for free. Well, anyways, Kyle was an okay kind of guy. We would hang out sometimes, have a few drinks, have some girls over, whatever. But the thing about Kyle was this: I had a girlfriend in Texas that really wanted to come out for a visit. So she did. She drove from Texas to Jacksonville, Florida, which is about a 15-hour ride. So she drove all the way out to see me and stayed with me for about a week. And during that week's time frame, my friend Kyle and my girlfriend ended up getting together physically very intimately. Yeah. Basically, I was very upset. Well, anyways, I did not worry about it. I let it go. And this is how things work out. So a few months go by. I buy a house with the money that I had saved. And a few months after that, Kyle ends up losing his job. I went and called his boss. I was like, hey, I don't think he's showing up to work. Can you confirm that? And they were like, no, he's not been showing up to work. And tell him if he doesn't show up to work by noon tomorrow, he is fired. So I went into his room and woke him up at like 8 o'clock and was like, hey man, your boss said if you don't show up to work today by noon, you're fired. And he said, thanks. And he goes right back to sleep. So I was like, okay, fine. I was like, dude, by the end of the month, you need to be out of here because I'm moving into my new house. So he was like, okay, cool. Well, the last day came where he was supposed to be moved out. Well, his stuff was still there in the house. So you know what I did? I said, okay, fine. You want to be like that? So I waited for him to leave and go off to like the store or a friend's house or something. And while he was gone, I took all of his stuff. I threw it outside of the apartment, all of it. And I changed the locks on the door and I was out of the house. I was already moved into my other house. Well, later that night, all of his stuff was stolen, completely stolen. And I laugh about it because it's like, see, if you had just done the right thing, these things would not have happened. So don't worry about things. Things tend to work themselves out. He ended up getting shot in the chest, I think, the next day. Not by me. I didn't shoot him, okay? I promise you. But anyways, he did get shot in the chest. He survived, and it was like the very next day. So all this stuff just kind of happened all at once. And I was like, see, that's what happens when you do people wrong. So don't do people wrong, but also don't worry and, let it go. It's no big deal. All right, so the second thing you want to do to improve as a godly man is to figure out exactly what it is that you want in life and go for it. I know that sounds very simple and easy to do, but it's true. So let me go ahead and read to you Matthew chapter 7. And Matthew chapter 7, verse 7 says, ask and it shall be given you, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Essentially what that means is this: if you never look for something, you will never find it. If you never try, you will never succeed. People who actively want the things they want in life, the people that actually get those things are the ones who go get them. They don't just let those things come to them. They actively go out and search for it. For example, if you want money, you have to actively work to get it. If you want like a girlfriend or a wife, you have to actively go out there and market yourself. You have to find her. And that brings me to my next point, which is this: you need to try to find love even after you have lost it. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 says, "Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up." So what this basically means is this: do not be alone in life. Because if you're alone, well, just like the Bible says, if you fall, you have no one else to help lift you up. So that's why it's important to have that companion, to have someone with you who's going to support you through the good times and the bad. And number 4, which is probably the most important, make time for God. Daniel chapter 6, verse 10 says, "Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did aforetime." Now, what this means is Daniel, the prophet, thousands of years ago, was in a position of authority, and the men who were beneath him in his chain of command hated him, and they wanted him gone, but they couldn't get rid of him. So what they did is they went to the king, and they had the king sign it into writing, into law, that it was illegal for Daniel to practice his religion. And by doing this, they were able to throw him into the lion's den. But the Bible says that when Daniel knew that they did this, he just went about his day as usual. He just ignored it. So he got on his knees and prayed to God every single day, just like he always had. And the point is this: make sure you make time for God no matter what. And last but not least, number 5, be a man of strength and take back control of your life. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 5 says, "A wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increaseth strength." And verse 10, "If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small." Essentially what the Bible here is saying is that an intelligent person is going to increase their physical strength. And also this, that if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. So you need to improve that. How do you do that? By physical fitness, by going to the gym, improving on the whole person concept, being physically, mentally, and spiritually strong. That's how you improve on being a godly man. But Brian, what do you mean by taking back control of your life? Well, what I mean is this: if people in your life, like your friends or your family or your children even, do not respect you, they don't give you the appropriate title that you deserve, they talk to you any old kind of way, what you do in those situations is you put your foot down, even if there are negative consequences. And the way you take back control is very simple. You simply tell the people in your life how it's going to be. For example, if your spouse tries to push you around like a rag doll and control things and use things like sex as a weapon in your life, you simply flip the script on them and you turn it right back around on them. I had a friend of mine who was married for 20 years who apparently was having some marital issues in the bedroom, and she was not doing her duties as a wife. So what he did was he brought her into the kitchen, he sat her down, and he explained to her, "Listen, I understand you may not want it as much as I do, but here's the thing. You and I have to have sexual intimacy. If we do not, then this marriage is not going to work. So if you want this marriage to work, this needs to happen." And this is a man who was married for 20 years. And what that wife did was she complied and she fixed the issue. So now him and his wife are back together doing things the way they should be done. And that's how you take back the respect and the control in your life. And that is essentially all that I have for today in this video. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know down in the comments below what you really enjoyed about this and also what you would like to see in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'm BP.